Keep yourself in the loop of everything football on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. The latest news on and off the field, be it college football, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC to the NFL. We've got you covered. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
And welcome to the GSMC Football Podcast. This episode is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. And as always, I'm your host, Jesse Tapia. Alright, so the first domino fell. Off Alex Smith goes. Off he goes to Washington to go play for the Redskins. Alright, he's gone. Off Washington sent, a third round pick in Kendall Fuller to Kansas City. So, now it's Patrick Mahomes time. All right. For today's show, we're going to start off talking about the Alex Smith trade. Then later on, we're also going to talk about the Tennessee Titans getting their offensive coordinator. We're going to talk about Tennessee for a bit. We'll talk about Kirk Cousins and the Denver Broncos. We'll talk about the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, what they're gonna do and how I think it'll end up, or what could happen. For this first segment too, we're also gonna talk about how the Browns could have got Alex Smith, believe it or not. And let's see, what else do we have to talk about? Maybe in the fourth segment we'll talk a bit about some Super Bowl stuff. Since that's a pretty big game on Sunday, I hear. But nonetheless, I mean, even with the Super Bowl hasn't even been like the biggest story this week. I feel like the Super Bowl, as far as media and all, that's taken a back seat. Because I was talking about on the sports podcast how, like, Blake Griffin, for those that don't know, got traded to the Detroit Pistons. For those that listen to this podcast would also like to follow basketball. So that was a big deal. That was being really reported on. And then Alex Smith getting traded to Washington. That's another big story right there. So as far as, like, the Super Bowl goes, I mean, it really hasn't been that big or anything like that. So, I mean, maybe we need like a Super Bowl guarantee from Tom Brady or from someone. We need something, man. But nonetheless, Alex Smith is a Washington Redskin. How do we feel about that? I feel like the consensus is that most don't like it. Most don't like the Redskins trading for Smith and giving up Kendall Fuller. All right, the third round pick, I've seen that they could live with it, but I'm not too sure. I haven't really seen Kendall Fuller play too much, but from what I've read and pretty much from what I've read, it seems like the guy was a young corner who was developing and playing well. So now he is a Kansas City Chief. And I like that for Kansas City because their secondary besides Marcus Peters really struggled this season. So if Kendall Fuller is as good as everyone makes him out to be, then that's an upgrade right there. Plus you get a third round pick. It's looking nice for Kansas City. All right. How about Washington? You got Alex Smith. Is Alex Smith going to make a difference? Is Alex Smith going to make you an 8-win team, a 9-win team this season? Most don't think so. All right. People, as far as what they think about Alex Smith is not a popular quarterback, I see. Obviously, if you've listened to the show over the past couple of months, you know I believe in Alex Smith. I like him. All right. I may have said some words about him in the season when they were going through that little slump. All right. I might have said that he was turning into the San Francisco 49ers, Alex Smith. But nonetheless, all right, I took time to think, and I like Alex Smith. I think he's a good quarterback. This year threw for, I think, over 4,000 yards, had 26 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. I think his quarterback rating was around 90. That's pretty good, ain't it? Wouldn't you say? But people with Alex Smith, I think their biggest problem is that reporters, analysts have said, like, pretty much use the phrase game manager, game manager, game manager, game manager, and that's pretty much like stuck in fans' heads now. As soon as you hear Alex Smith, you think the ultimate game manager, not that good, not that bad, just pretty much goes out there and doesn't turn the ball over. And I'll agree, for most of Alex Smith's career, he's been that. But I think after this season, it's a little harsh to consider him a game manager still. All right. like I said, 26 touchdowns, only 5 picks. Those are great numbers right there, over 4,000 yards. Those aren't game manager numbers if we're being real here. All right, you're not a game manager throwing for over 4,000 yards and 26 touchdowns. That just doesn't happen. All right, if you're a game manager, you're throwing maybe around 20 touchdowns, a little bit more than 3,000 yards. Interceptions are down. Completion percentage is high. Sam Bradford is a game manager. That's the ultimate game manager right there, Sam Bradford. All right. Alex Smith is not Sam Bradford. He's a whole lot better than Bradford was and ever will be. All right, I'll tell you that much. The only part I'm kind of iffy about as far as this trade goes for Washington isn't even the trade itself. It's the humongous contract they gave Alex Smith. All right, so yeah, Alex Smith, this was the last year on his deal. And obviously, if you're trading for the guy, you want to lock him up long term unless you use the stopgap quarterback, which I don't think Washington had considered him as that. And obviously, they did it because they signed him to a 4-year deal worth $94 million. $71 million of that is guaranteed. Let's do some quick mental math. All right, 4 divided by 7 is 1. 4, 3, 1. It's about $17 million a year, unless I'm completely off. All right, I hope I'm not off because I just did that, and I know you people listen to the show. Let me see. I have to double check this now. Yeah, so nearly $18 million. Nearly. All right, so yeah, Jesse's good at math. Look at that. Nonetheless, he's getting paid a lot of money. Guy's 34 years old already. All right, you're giving him a 4-year deal, all that money. So obviously, Alex Smith is going to be the Washington Redskins quarterback for the near future. All right. For 4 years, pretty much at least, unless the guy just completely bombs it, which I don't think he will. All right? People are saying, why are the Redskins doing this? They're just trading for a lesser version of Kirk Cousins. No, they're not. Kirk Cousins and Alex Smith are nowhere near the same quarterback. Kirk Cousins, I think, can make people around him better. All right? Alex Smith doesn't do that. But let me tell you this. It's gonna be a little contradictory what I'm telling you, all right? So Alex Smith, obviously, with Kansas City, didn't have really any big-time name receivers besides Tyreek Hill. All right, he had Travis Kelce, and then he had Kareem Hunt. I like what he has in Washington also. I think he could thrive with what he has in Washington. All right, Chris Thompson got hurt middle of the season, out with a season-ending injury. He's going to be back next season, hopefully healthy, obviously. That's going to be a big Chris Thompson in your fantasy football leagues. And I know I should be talking fantasy football more on tomorrow's fantasy football podcast. Check that one out. But nonetheless, Chris Thompson is going to have a big year next year, I feel. That's going to be the ultimate check down, Alex Smith throwing to him constantly type of player right there. All right, I know I just said that Alex Smith shouldn't be considered a game manager, at least after this season, but he might revert back to that with his Redskins team. All right, and that's where the contradictory stuff comes in, okay? Because then you got a guy like Josh Dotson, who's not really a big-time down-the-field receiver. At least he didn't show that this season. But he was a nice little rookie receiver. All right, showed flashes of what he could possibly be. This season, he's only going to get better, I feel. Now he's going to be in his second year and have more time to develop. I think him and Alex Smith are going to have a nice little quarterback-receiver relationship. Then you got Jamison Crowder. I think the perfect fit for an Alex Smith-type quarterback. All right? Alex Smith has never had any big-time receivers on his team, but he's always managed to make it happen. I think Jamison Crowder is going to thrive. Then you got Ryan Grant, who showed what he could be, showed some flashes, played well last season. Here he is again in another year, developed some more. Boom, Alex Smith. Alex Smith is a good quarterback, all right? Yeah, he could be a game manager at times. Sometimes he could be more than that, but he's a good quarterback, all right? So I like it right there. Then you got Vernon Davis, who had a nice little bounce-back year. Ever since he left San Francisco, really hasn't been the same type of player. But he had a solid year this past season. That's going to be a nice little option for Alex Smith there also. Jordan Reed, not going to hold my breath on him. All right, guy is a walking bag of glass, constantly hurt. Just put a big Band-Aid around him, see if it works. If Jordan Reed can stay healthy, that's going to be huge for Alex Smith there. I think the offensive line in Washington is better than the offensive line in Kansas City, so that's another help. Plus, bringing in Alex Smith, signing him to a long-term deal, given whatever the money it is. However much money it is, now you don't have to worry about drafting a quarterback with that number 1 pick. Now you could possibly look, maybe we do need to pick up another receiver. Maybe we pick up I doubt they're not going to pick up a running back in the first round. So you know what? They're most likely going to look towards the defense in the draft and try and fix it up there. All right. I think they will end up drafting a running back, but that's going to be around 4th, 5th round, I think, for them. And plus, like I said, I think Chris Thompson is going to be the guy next season. So Washington's going to be able to spend a whole lot of this draft on defense. And Washington, believe it or not, they could be, like I said, they could be an 8 or 9 win team with Alex Smith. They finished 7-9 with Kirk Cousins. I think that they could be a win or two better. And I know that sounds weird because I just told you that Kirk Cousins can make players around him better. But as far as fits go, I think Alex Smith fits in with the Redskins a whole lot better than Kirk Cousins did. All right, go put Kirk Cousins on a team like Denver. Yeah, they're a playoff team, and yeah, we're going to talk about it more later on in the show, so I'm not going to say too much about it, but I think Alex Smith, as far as the Redskins go, this is a nice little match for him. This team fits his ability, his needs. All right, so as far as the people saying this is a bad deal, the Redskins should have never traded for Alex Smith, I'm on the opposite side of that. I like the deal right here, and I never really thought as a team, like the Redskins being a team for Alex Smith as far as trading for him. I didn't think that was going to be a case. I thought he was going to end up more with a team like Jacksonville or Arizona, but nonetheless, here he is. So there you got it. There you have it. Alex Smith is now a Washington Redskin. Let's talk Cleveland Browns for a second. And you're probably thinking, what do the Browns have to do with this? The Browns could have had Alex Smith. All right? They're going to offer up, I think, a couple of picks. I think one of them was going to be a second rounder. The only reason why Alex Smith is not a Cleveland Brown is because Cleveland didn't want to sign him to a long-term contract. They wanted to sign him short-term. Short-term, I should say. All right, Benjamin Albright, I believe it was, is the one who reported that on a radio show. And, I mean, Cleveland with Alex Smith, I get why they didn't. All right, again, I like the fact that Washington traded for him. 4 years might be a little too long, so I don't blame Cleveland for not getting Alex Smith. I understand it completely. Cleveland right now is a young team, all right, and I think you need to stay young. That's why I understand the whole give Alex Smith a short-term contract, because you don't want him to be the guy going forward. He's only got about 5 more years in the league, I feel. All right, he's 34 right now, 4 more years with Washington, then he'll be 38, and he'll pretty much be done after that, unless he turns into Tom Brady and gets better as he ages, which I don't think that's going to happen. But nonetheless, I don't blame Cleveland for not getting Alex Smith. I understand it, and that's fine. All right, it was also reported that the Denver Broncos wanted Alex Smith, and they offered a trade for him. What did they offer? They offered a second-round pick and Aqib Talib for Alex Smith. If I'm Denver, I take that deal 1,000,000 times out of 10. Or 1,000,000 out of 1,000,000, excuse me. Kind of messed myself up there. But I get why the Chiefs didn't take that deal. Okay, Aqib Talib to that secondary would be an upgrade. And that second-round pick would look mighty nice because Denver was garbage this past season because of the 3 quarterbacks that they put out in the field. But I get the fact that Kansas City didn't want to trade Alex Smith to the Chiefs to the Broncos because of the fact that you betrayed a guy in your own division to a team in your own division. I get that. So I get why the Browns didn't pick him up, and I get why Denver didn't end up with him. So it works out for the Redskins now. As far as the Browns go, I'm kind of curious as to see what they do at quarterback. I really want to see Kirk Cousins end up there, and like I said, we'll talk more about him later on the segment or later on the show. But imagine a team with Kirk Cousins, Saquon Barkley, Josh Gordon, David Njoku, Corey Coleman. I know I've talked about it earlier this week, but I'm never going to let go of it. I think Kirk Cousins should sign with the Browns, but I don't think it'll happen. He's probably going to end up with the Broncos. Like I said, we'll talk more about that later on in the show. So that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this segment. Wanted to talk a bit about Alex Smith going to the Redskins, talk a bit about the Browns, what they offered, and talk a bit about what the Broncos offered. So here you have it. Alex Smith, first quarterback to leave his team and go to another. Now that leaves Kirk Cousins as the number one guy, number one sought-after quarterback this offseason. It's going to be interesting to see where he ends up. But that's going to wrap it up for this segment. Next up, we're going to be talking, let's stick with the Chiefs. We're going to talk about the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. We'll probably talk about the Tennessee Titans too, unless we want to push that off later on in the show. So we'll see what I think, but we'll talk about the Chiefs for sure next segment. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back to the GSMC Football Podcast. Started off the show talking about Alex Smith heading to the Washington Redskins. I like the deal. I think that Alex Smith will play well in Washington. I think they'll be an 8-win, 9-win team, depending on how well they do in the draft as far as picking up players on defense goes. I think this offense fits Alex Smith a whole lot better than, believe it or not, the Kansas City Chiefs offense did. I know that the Chiefs have better offensive players, but the way these players play on this Washington Redskins team, I think Alex Smith will thrive. So we're going to have to wait and see. And I talked about how the Browns made an offer, but they didn't want to sign Alex Smith to a long-term deal. Completely get that. Don't fault the Browns. Also, the Broncos offered a second-rounder and keep Talib for Alex Smith, it was reported. I understand why the Chiefs didn't take that. All right, you don't want to trade Alex Smith within your division, so I get it. So Washington, congrats. You have Alex Smith. Now Kirk Cousins is the belle of the ball. I believe that's the saying, right? Right, I think so. But we're not going to talk about Kirk Cousins yet. We're going to save Kirk Cousins, the Denver Broncos, the New York Jets, the Cleveland Browns for the next segment. All right, we're going to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, trading Alex Smith means Patrick Mahomes is the guy. How does Jesse feel about Patrick Mahomes being the guy? I have no clue how I feel. All right, Patrick Mahomes played Week 17, played well. I think he had, around over 230 yards, a couple of touchdowns, I believe. Can't remember his exact stats. I'm just spitballing right there off the top of my head. Patrick Mahomes is a quarterback with a cannon of an arm. All right. And Andy Reid is a coach who works well with quarterbacks. All right, look at Donovan McNabb. I think he was there with Michael Vick when he got out of prison. Michael Vick played well. Ended up trading A.J. Feely for a second-round pick. So obviously, he made A.J. Feely look good enough to where you give up a second-round pick for him, which is ridiculous now that I think about it. I mean, I've seen A.J. Feely. That's a throwback right there, too. That's quite the name drop, A.J. Feely. I always used to get him and Jay Feely mixed up. Not sure can't remember if they were brothers or not. But nonetheless, Andy Reid has always been successful with quarterbacks. Alex Smith had hit the best years of his career with Andy Reid. So that's where I'm kind of encouraged by how I feel about Patrick Mahomes becoming the starting quarterback. Can we call Andy Reid a quarterback guru? I'm not sure, but every quarterback he's worked with has played well. So where do the Chiefs go from here now that Patrick Mahomes is their quarterback? You have a top 10 running back in Kareem Hunt. You have a top 2 tight end in Travis Kelce. You have a playmaking wide receiver in Tyreek Hill. And that's where it stops. All right. The Chiefs still got a bunch of things they need to fix. They're still, if Patrick Mahomes plays well, a playoff team, but they're just the team who's going to get bounced in the wild card with what they got right now. And I'm not even sure if Patrick Mahomes can get them there. All right? You still got to pick up a number 2 receiver. All right? I understand they've been going with Tyreek Hill, guys like Albert Wilson, but eventually it's time to go out and get some real receivers. And I'm not saying that Tyreek Hill isn't a real receiver. Love the way he plays. He's a solid playmaker. But you need someone else to play alongside him. All right, Tyreek Hill can be a number 1 receiver, but you need someone better than what's the guy I just named? Albert Wilson. You need someone better than that. All right, get some big time receivers for Patrick Mahomes to throw to. The guy's got a cannon. You don't want him to be wasting it on receivers that Alex Smith thrived with because they were short route receivers. All right, you need some big time receivers out there that can make big time plays. All right, you got to fix up that offensive line a bit. Then the defensive line is aging. All right, you need to start picking up younger players in order to replace those guys. All right, Tamba Hali, I think he's retired. He's going to be retiring. Or did he already retire? I can't remember exactly. But nonetheless, that defensive line is getting older. Linebackers are getting older. You're going to start bringing in younger guys there. Your secondary was a bit suspect. All right, Marcus Peters does his thing. They got Kendall Fuller in the trade, so maybe that's going to work out, and he's going to be a nice little addition there. All right, but nonetheless, the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, I'm kind of on the fence about it. Like I said, I'm not sure really what you get with Mahomes. I'm really just banking on the fact that I think Andy Reid can make him a solid little quarterback. All right, because now you got to worry about what the teams in your division are doing. The Chargers, as of right now, compared to the Chiefs, are a better team. Believe it or not. All right, the Chargers, as of right now, are the team to beat in the AFC West. Then you got the Oakland Raiders. Not sure what to think about the Raiders. All right, not sure how I feel about them. Yeah, you got Derek Carr, who had a bad year. Again, I'll say it again. I think that was attributed to his fractured back. The guy only missed 1 week after fracturing his back. I think that hampered him. Then, remember last year. All right, last year the Raiders had one of the best offenses in the league. This year, it was Amari Cooper who forgot how to catch the ball, and Michael Crabtree really tailed off towards the end of the season. If Amari Cooper could maybe watch some old game film and figure out how to catch a football again, then that's a dangerous little number one receiver. Same with Michael Crabtree. Obviously, I think they're going to be bringing him back. That's a nice little 1-2 punch there. Michael Crabtree is a solid little possession receiver. I think it might be time to find a real tight end. Jared Cook is I'm not sure what I think about Jared Cook. Jared Cook has been that tight end where, oh yeah, he's going to make a big difference. Solid tight end. I mean, the guy didn't do much with Green Bay. Didn't he start off with the Rams? Yeah, I started off with the Rams, I think, or the Titans. Might have to look it up on my fancy schmancy laptop to see. Let's see, Jared Cook. I got to see because didn't he play with the Titans too? Let's see. He's been in the league since 2009. Yeah, he started off with the Titans. Was a pretty solid receiver with the Titans, too. I mean, there was 1 year we had over 700 yards. I mean, for tight end numbers, they were pretty good. All right. His last year with the Rams wasn't that good. But up until 2015, he was a pretty good tight end. Then he goes to the Packers. Everyone thinks, oh, he's going to do some. Didn't really do much. Actually, Jared Cook actually didn't do too bad this season. Almost had 700 yards, had 54 receptions, 2 touchdowns. Probably would have wanted to see it more there. Maybe the Raiders don't need a tight end. I mean, I don't know. The Raiders are a bit of a weird team here because they don't have a defense. They have Khalil Mack and a bunch of other guys. They have a secondary who, if you're even a tiny bit fast, you can get past. Ooh, that rhymed. Nice little thing right there. Gotta use that for a soundbite for future references. But nonetheless, like I said, the secondary this year was brutal. All right. So they got to fix that up. So as far as the Chiefs having to worry about the Raiders, they're not really some team you think about if you're the Chiefs. The Raiders got to worry about the Raiders right now. They got to worry about what they're going to do in the draft. Obviously, yeah, they have a bunch of young players, but they really showed no signs of development. All right, kept getting burned play after play and just really didn't do much at all. And as far as the Broncos go, I don't really want to talk too much about them because I'm going to save them for the next segment. All right, next segment's going to be more of talking about teams who need quarterbacks still and pretty much what happens now that Alex Smith is gone. All right, so as far as the Chiefs go, I'm still kind of encouraged by them. I think Patrick Mahomes could really be good. It's just like him having the biggest problem with quarterbacks with a cannon of an arm. They think they can make any throw in the world. They're Jay Cutler sometimes. Jay Cutler, monster arm, tries to do too much, throws a lot of interceptions. Andy Reid's got to figure out a way to keep that arm contained. Make sure that, yeah, Patrick Mahomes, you could throw the ball all over the place, but you got to be smart when you're doing it. Patrick Mahomes needs to be Jay Cutler with an Alex Smith mindset. All right. Throw all over the place, but make throws that you know you're going to be able to complete. If he does that, then he's going to be a solid quarterback. The Chiefs, I'm not sure what Patrick Mahomes is ceiling it because we didn't really get to see him at all last season. Like I said, he played that Week 17 game, but that's just about it. So it's just going to be interesting to see how it all ends up. I have no clue how it's going to be. I think Patrick Mahomes will be a nice little quarterback, but I'm not sure if he's going to be a guy throwing for over 300 yards or he's going to be a guy who just needs to develop as the season goes on. So we're just going to have to wait and see how it all goes, how it all plays out. So that's all I got to say about the Chiefs. Now let's talk a bit about the Tennessee Titans. They hired Mike Vrabel as their head coach last week, and I liked it. Mike Vrabel is more of a defensive type mind. But if you're a head coach, you're like the leader of your team. All right, you're like the business owner. You got to pretty much make sure everything else is running well. So it was really big on the Titans to go out and get a nice little offensive coordinator hire. And I think they did exactly that, hiring the offensive coordinator from the LA Rams, Matt LaFleur. All right, I think that was a nice move there. Marcus Mariota this season had a down year, quite the down year. Looked like hot garbage if we're being real here. Dude threw, 15, 16 picks. I think that was third most in the league. Just didn't look good at all. All right, took a real step back. 13 touchdowns. I think it was 15 interceptions. Threw for a little over 3,000 yards. All right, not good enough there. But Matt LaFleur, new offensive coordinator, I think could help develop Marcus Mariota, bring him back to what he was. Marcus Mariota is a franchise quarterback. Let's not get anything twisted or anything like that. All right, Matt LaFleur, obviously, look at Matt LaFleur with Jared Goff. 1 year, looks terrible. Next year, looks like the franchise quarterback, which I think he is going to be. All right, so he did well with Jared Goff. And let's see, who else has he worked with? I think he worked with Matt Ryan for a bit. And obviously, so Matt LaFleur actually in 2016 was, so Matt LaFleur last year became the Rams offensive coordinator. Then in 2016, the year that the Falcons went to the Super Bowl, he was the quarterback's coach for the Falcons. That year, Matt Ryan won the MVP and probably had the best season of his career. So then the next year, obviously, his first year with the Rams, makes Jared Goff look extremely well. Now that's getting me even more excited for this hire for the Titans. I like it a lot. Marcus Mariota is going to get so much better, I feel, now that I just know what I just read. All right. He was also Washington's quarterback coach with Robert Griffin and Kirk Cousins there. Robert Griffin, his first year, played extremely well. And then his knee pretty much got torn to shreds, and that was all she wrote for him. But Kirk Cousins turned out to be a nice little quarterback who's going to now end up getting one of the highest paid contracts in NFL history. So pretty much everywhere Matt LaFleur goes, quarterbacks thrive. So now, like I said, I'm getting even more excited about this hire. I think Mike Vrabel is going to be a nice little leader of men for that team. And then you got a defense who you got to fix up the secondary, but Mike Vrabel can help coach him up. Probably going to have to draft a few guys. But now that you got Matt LaFleur, I mean, you're going to see that offense is pretty much be even better. I think with Marcus Mariota, with him and LaFleur, I think Marcus Mariota's going to be playing well. If Marcus Mariota's playing well, that's going to open things up for Derrick Henry. All right? And you got Delaney Walker, who has been a solid option at tight end. Maybe you'll see Corey Davis. Like, this is all like a chain reaction type of deal right here, all right? Matt LaFleur makes Marcus Mariota play better. Derrick Henry's going to play well out the backfield, all right? Then you got Corey Davis, who against the Patriots in that wild divisional round game, scored 2 touchdowns and played well. Showed flashes of what he could be. All right, just imagine a solid quarterback in Marcus Mariota throwing to a guy like Corey Davis. That's going to be solid. AFC South is going to have a nice little tough division next year. Like I wasn't really too familiar with LaFleur, read a little bit up on him, and I love the hire now. All right, I think Marcus Mariota is going to have a nice little bounce back year with this guy teaching him the ropes. So, good job, Tennessee. They've done well so far. All right, good thing they didn't keep Mike Mularkey around. I still don't understand why after you come back from 18 points, beat the Chiefs, you go out and say, oh yeah, Mike Mularkey, he's our guy long term. Shouldn't have never did that. Nonetheless, they made the right decision getting rid of him after they got blown out by the Patriots. So, I like this move for the Titans. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this segment. Next up, we're going to be talking about the Denver Broncos, how close they are to getting Kirk Cousins, the Jets, the Browns, and pretty much anyone else that needs a quarterback. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA, from the UFC to extreme cage fighting. They got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back to the GSMC Football Podcast. So far in today's show, we've talked about Alex Smith going to the Washington Redskins. We talked about the Chiefs, and in this past segment, talked about where they go with Patrick Mahomes, what I think about it. And we also talked about the Titans, how I like that Matt LaFleur offensive coordinator hire for them. I think Marcus Mariota is going to thrive, and as a result, the offense will thrive. So, talked about that. Now, we're going to talk about the Denver Broncos, the Cleveland Browns. All right, we're going to spend a lot of this segment on them. Oh, yeah, also, I don't think I've had a chance to talk about it. The Jacksonville Jaguars, it was reported that they plan on making Blake Bortles their starting quarterback for 2018. You guys have no idea how frustrating that is. Blake Bortles is not a good quarterback. Blake Bortles had a few good games in the playoffs. There's a difference. There's a difference to where a guy has a few good games, all right, and there's a difference to where if he could have good games over a regular season span. He didn't do that, all right? We can't be prisoners of the moment. We can't do what the Tennessee Titans almost did by keeping Mike Mularkey. We can't just, this guy's playing well, let's just make him our quarterback. All right, you can't do that. The Jaguars don't win Super Bowls with Blake Bortles as their quarterback. All right, and I've talked over the past couple of weeks that you don't need a big-time quarterback to go out and play in the Super Bowl. Philly's showing that. But you need someone better than Blake Bortles at least. All right, for most of the season, I've said the Jaguars not only played the opposing team, but they were also playing against Blake Bortles. All right, now that Alex Smith is gone in Washington, I mean, obviously, if they said that they're planning on making Bortles a starting quarterback for 2018, then it doesn't really matter. But, I mean, come on now. Why? Go out and get a Kirk Cousins. All right? I mean, now it's pretty much, like, it's got to be, it's Blake Bortles is the guy now that Alex Smith is in Washington. I think Kirk Cousins is going to end up in Denver, and everyone's reporting that it's close to happening. And I'm not sure how that happens either. Doesn't free agency start in March? Unless I'm missing something. But nonetheless, I mean, we'll talk about that in a few moments, but I just don't get it. We know what Blake Bortles is. Blake Bortles has been in the league for 4 years, I believe. All right? After the third year, if you don't think he's the guy, then he's probably not the guy. Jacksonville is a team that should be contending for Super Bowls with what they got. But, yeah, they got to the AFC Championship with him as the quarterback, but I feel like they dragged him there. And I'm not trying to be too harsh on Blake Bortles. He does have, there are moments where he looks like a solid quarterback, but I think Jacksonville could just do better. All right? I think that's what it is. I think Jacksonville could do a whole lot better than Blake Bortles. And again, I'm not trying to be too harsh on the guy because he has shown, like I said, he showed those few games in the playoffs that he could be a nice little solid quarterback. But if you're Jacksonville, do you really want to wait and see for this next season if he can be a guy who could put it together for 16 games? Because that's pretty much what this is. They're saying, hey, Blake, we're giving you another chance. This is it for you to show us what you got. That's a year wasted right there. Unless the guy goes out and proves me completely wrong. And I hope he does, because I want Jacksonville to be a team who's in the Super Bowl. I love that defense. All right, Leonard Fournette, I liked him coming out of LSU. I've compared him to Adrian Peterson multiple times. I like those young receivers that they got too. All right, but Blake Bortles needs to be better if he's going to be sticking around. That's all I got to say about that, though. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, and I hope it works out for Jacksonville, but I just don't see it happening. So let's talk Kirk Cousins and the Denver Broncos. I think that's going to be the deal that ends up happening. And I was looking at ESPN. I saw an article saying that the Denver Broncos got to figure out how much they want to pay for a quarterback before they think about anything else, before signing one and before drafting one. Okay, let me put it this way. If you're thinking about bringing in Kirk Cousins, you have to know already that you're going to have to make him the highest paid quarterback in the league, or at least around there. All right? There's no secret about it. You can't say, oh, Kirk, we're going to give you this, come sign with us. No, Kirk Cousins is going to take the most money he could get. So if you want Kirk Cousins, don't try and lowball. Just go out there and give out a deal that you know is going to get him. Don't try and play any games or anything like that. I understand negotiations, but we all know what Kirk Cousins is getting, so why waste each other's time? All right. If you don't want to pay for a quarterback, Denver, if you don't want to pay big money for a guy like Kirk Cousins, go ahead. Draft another quarterback. All right? Because you know what? Brock Osweiler sure worked out, didn't he? No. Trevor Siemian worked out? No. Paxton Lynch, that was a waste of a first-round pick. So go ahead. Go ahead and think that John Elway can go out and draft a quarterback and this one's going to be the guy. All right? No, this is going to be it. John Elway's got this one. If I'm Denver, I know. If I'm John Elway, I know I can't evaluate quarterbacks. All right? He's had 3 tries. He's failed all 3 times. The only reason that John Elway could say, oh, yeah, I have a Super Bowl as a Broncos front office executive is because he had one of the greatest defenses of all time going out there. All right? If I'm Denver, I'm getting Kirk Cousins. You can't waste the rest of these years on a quarterback in the draft unless somehow he is the next best thing. All right? These last 2 years have been wasted years for the Broncos. They should have been in the playoffs year after year since Manning retired. All right? They failed completely. Defense is getting older. Demaryius Thomas is getting older. C.J. Anderson getting older. All right? They can't be wasting these years anymore. You can't afford, if you're the Broncos, to go out and draft a quarterback. You just can't. All right? You got to be in win-now mode with the team you got. You got guys like Von Miller, Todd Davis, Chris Harris Jr., Bradley Roby, and I think they're going to be trading Aqib Talib, so I'm not naming him. Then you got C.J. Anderson, who ran for over 1,000 yards this season, and Demaryius Thomas, who nearly had 1,000 yards receiving with those 3 throwing him the ball. Paxton Lynch, Brock Osweiler, Trevor Siemian. All right? That's ridiculous. Ridiculous meaning good. So Denver, I think they can't afford to draft a quarterback. It's got to be go time now. Give Kirk Cousins whatever he wants. All right. Kirk Cousins goes to play in Denver. That team's a playoff team right there. And just imagine, this defense won't have to be on the field constantly throughout the game. They're actually going to get some rest. All right. They're actually going to be able to realize, if we give up a touchdown, game's not over, boys. We still got Kirk Cousins who could help us score on offense. All right, this team will get all around this team will be so much better if they bring in Kirk Cousins. If they don't bring in Kirk Cousins and let him slip away to the Browns or Jets, then that's on them. That's just bad. That's just bad front office stuff right there. I don't even know what to call it. I don't want to call it ownership, but nonetheless, Kirk Cousins needs to be a Denver Bronco or else they're just making a big mistake. All right? It doesn't matter. Whatever the Jets are offering, offer more. Whatever the Browns are offering, offer more. All right, you already got C.J. Anderson on a long-term contract, I believe. You already got Demaryius Thomas locked up still. You got Von Miller still locked up. Chris Harris. All right. Now is the time to start winning if you're the Broncos. Because after this defense gets older and older, like this Broncos team has 2 more years, I think, unless they get Kirk Cousins. And even with getting Kirk Cousins, you're still going to have to figure out a way to plug in those holes that come back year after year. And you're going to have to do a good job like that. If the Broncos just aren't able to fix it up and they just stick with what they got 2 years at the most. If they're able to sign Kirk Cousins and constantly bring in young guys in order to replace the older guys, and those young guys show that they have talent, they can play well, then Denver could be good for a long time. But it's going to be, I'm not too sure that they're going to be able to do that. And that's obviously what Denver needs to do. If I'm the Browns, it's either Sam Darnold or Kirk Cousins. All right. The Browns, like I said, Denver needs to do whatever they can to get Kirk Cousins. I think the Browns do too. All right. Browns, like I've said, they're a 7-win team, 8-win team with Kirk Cousins playing quarterback, because that means that Saquon Barkley is going to be on that team. And, excuse me, I had to cough for a moment right there. But that means Saquon Barkley's on that team, and that means you're going to be able to get Minkah Fitzpatrick. All right. Browns getting Kirk Cousins would be the best for that franchise. Finally give them some hope. Are they going to do it? I doubt it, because like I said, I think Kirk Cousins ends up in Denver. But if it happens, then good on the Browns. And as far as the Jets go, I don't really think that's a fit for Kirk Cousins there. They have way too much that they still got to fix up in the draft on that offense. All right. You still got to wonder what's going to happen with Robbie Anderson. All right. He's probably going to get suspended for the first 4 games of the season at least. You need a new running back. Okay, let's say Robbie Anderson doesn't get suspended, or either way, if he does, yeah, when he comes back, he could still be your number 1 receiver, but you still need a bunch of others. All right? We're going to see what Austin Seferian-Jenkins can do in his second year with the Jets. And you need to build out that offensive line a bit more. The defense has played well last season, and they're just young, so they need to develop a little bit more. As far as the Jets, I think they can use that money that they'd use on Kirk Cousins elsewhere and put it to better use. Go out and get a Baker Mayfield or Josh Allen. Finally, someone. Don't keep. Ever since Chad Pennington, it's pretty much been bad quarterback after bad quarterback. Yeah, Mark Sanchez got to 2 AFC Championship games with them, but that defense was pretty much, what was the running back? Was it Thomas Jones? I think it was. Pretty much give the ball to him and have that defense shut everyone down. Then they went to Geno Smith. That obviously didn't work out. Christian Hackenberg, Bryce Petty. I don't know why they ever thought that would work out. Josh McCown was cool for a little season until he got hurt. And I think I'm missing one more quarterback, but I can't remember. But nonetheless, I mean, the Jets just start off fresh finally if I'm the Jets. All right, use that money, go get some other big-time players. But that's all I got to say about that. All right, Denver, go out, get Kirk Cousins. The Browns, do what you can to get him too. But if I had to put some money on it, he's ending up in Denver. All right, so that's going to wrap it up for this segment. Next up, we're going to be talking pretty much about anything going on in the world of football, anything that pops up in my head. Probably talk about the Super Bowl a bit. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
And welcome back to the GSMC Football Podcast. So far in today's show, we talked about Alex Smith going to Washington. What else we talked about? We talked about what's next for the Chiefs as far as Patrick Mahomes being the starting quarterback. Titans hiring their new offensive coordinator. Talked about how it's such a disappointment that the Jaguars are planning on keeping Blake Bortles as their starter for 2018. I get real sad saying that sentence, but talked about that. Talked about the Broncos and how they need to get Kirk Cousins, or they're just going to waste this little, I don't know, you can't even call it a Super Bowl window anymore because we're not sure what the Broncos will be even with Kirk Cousins, but they're wasting something if they don't get Kirk Cousins. Talked about the Browns and talked about the Jets and Kirk Cousins fitting in there. So now, as for the fourth segment, as we always do, pretty much talk about anything going on. As it being Super Bowl week, how about we talk about the Super Bowl a bit? I mean, Friday is going to be more Super Bowl heavy. I think we might have Tate on to come talk about the Super Bowl, make our predictions. That's not a for sure thing, but it might happen. So, for this segment, let's talk pretty much about little things, all right? Let's talk about Bill Belichick versus Doug Peterson. I don't know why people are talking like I saw an article saying that Belichick on ESPN saying that Belichick versus Peterson isn't as big as a mismatch as everyone thinks it is. Isn't that common knowledge? Obviously, and listen before you get all crazy and turn off the podcast. All right. Bill Belichick, without a doubt, is the best coach in the league. All right. But Doug Peterson, I got to be careful when I'm saying this because people are going to be ready to jump. Doug Peterson is also a great coach in this league. Like, Bill Belichick is pretty much the greatest coach of all time, but as of right now, Doug Peterson might be the second best coach in this league as far as it goes, all right? For Doug Peterson to have Nick Foles come in with about a couple weeks left in the season and adjust the offense to where Nick Foles can succeed and help them get to the Super Bowl is ridiculous, meaning good, all right? I get it. Bill Belichick, without a doubt, like I said already. I'm going to say it again. Best coach of all time. All right? But we got to stop acting like this whole game is such a big mismatch. It's not. We got to get over the whole, they got Tom Brady and Bill Belichick hype. I get it. And obviously, yeah, they've been winners for a while. But this Philly team is no pushover. We should know this by now. It's the Super Bowl. Literally anything can happen. Anything. All right, even if Gronk plays in this one, Philly still has a good shot at winning this. I'm not even sure who I'm ready to pick yet for this game. All right, we got to stop acting like it's already over. All right, I understand the narrative is out there that the Eagles are the big underdogs. Are they going to be able to pull off the shock? Are they going to be able to do it? The game is not that far off from these teams being, like, these teams are, let me put it this way, all right? All around football team, all right, and again, don't take what I'm saying right here and turn off the podcast. Like, actually listen for a quick sec. All right, all around team, the Eagles are better than the Patriots, all around. All right? The only reason why the Patriots are favored in this one is because of that Bill Belichick guy and that guy who plays quarterback, Tom Brady. All right, close your eyes. Take away from Tom Brady from this team. Who do you think is better? All right, take one player away from this team, from this Patriots team. Who do you think is better? All right, go ahead, open your eyes now. It's the Eagles. Okay? And again, I understand why the Patriots are favorites in this game. I completely understand it, and I agree with it. I agree that they should be the favorites, no doubt. But we can't keep treating the Eagles like they're the big underdogs. Like, it'd be incredibly crazy if they won. All right? This is reminding me of the Jags and Pittsburgh Steelers game when the Jags knocked them off in the divisional round. Everyone was on Twitter was like, "Oh, no one saw this coming." No, if you paid attention, you saw it coming. All right? The Jags jumping out to a, 14-0 lead? I wasn't surprised. No one should have been surprised. The Jags literally did it week 5. People say, "Oh, that was early on in the season. The Steelers are a different team." Yeah, so were the Jaguars. All right? We got to stop this whole, we got to be a whole lot smarter than what we are now. All right? If you're going to think the Patriots are going to blow out the Eagles, just give a decent argument to it besides, "Oh, it's Tom Brady." All right? Put some substance into it. Like, I remember the week of the AFC Championship game, ESPN was riding off the Jags like they weren't even playing in the game. All right? And I completely understand it. You want to pick the Patriots, go right ahead. It makes all the sense in the world to, especially in this game. But don't act like this other team is going to just let them win and it's going to be easy. It's not. All right? We got to do better. A whole lot better. All right. I was talking with a buddy the other day. He's a big Patriots fan. He was telling me how this game is kind of reminding him of the Super Bowl between the Rams and the Patriots in 2001, I believe it was. He was telling me how no one was really expecting the Patriots to win that game, all right, against the greatest show on turf. Patriots did it. He said this is how this game feels. Everyone's expecting the Patriots to win it. No one's really expecting the Eagles to. He said that's why he's still not. He's like, because me and him, we like to talk trash to each other, all right? Him being a Patriots fan, I like to talk to him. And I was like, how you feeling about the Super Bowl? And I was asking him, pretty much asking him how he was feeling. And that's when he tells me, like, he's still not feeling too great about it. All right, he's not saying much. Doesn't want to be that Patriots fan that's like, oh, game's over. Nick Foles and them don't stand a chance, because he's thinking about 2001 and how Tom Brady was a rookie quarterback and how they were facing the greatest show on turf in the Rams. I'm sure everyone thought the Rams were going to win that game, but nonetheless, the legend of Tom Brady was born that day. All right, so he's kind of treating it like something like that. Like, he's still expecting the Patriots to win and all that, but he's pumping the brakes a bit because he knows what the Eagles are capable of. Everyone should know what the Eagles are capable of. All right, best defensive line in the league, arguably. One of the best linebacking corps in the league, arguably. Solid secondary. Nice special teams. All right, Alshon Jeffrey has been a solid number one receiver this year and has played extremely well with Nick Foles as the quarterback. Done well to adjust this game in order for him to produce still. All right, you got Zach Ertz, who's probably a top 3 tight end in this league after Gronkowski and Kelsey. He's played well with Ertz. And then you got J.J. and LeGarrette Blount, who have been producing so far in the playoffs. Do not write off this Philadelphia Eagles team before the game is even played. All right. I think that as of right now, like, the team I'm leaning towards is probably Philly. They're extremely well coached, as are the Patriots. They have a great team, a better team than the Patriots. I think as far as picking this game goes, it's either you're picking Tom Brady and Bill Belichick if you're going with the Patriots, or you're picking the Philadelphia Eagles team if you're picking them. All right, it's pretty much Brady and Belichick versus this Eagles team. Because like I said, take Tom Brady away, no doubt the Eagles are a better team. All right, it's going to be interesting to see how the Eagles match up with Rob Gronkowski. It's going to be interesting to see what they do with Danny Amendola, because that guy's been on a tear so far in the playoffs. It's going to be interesting to see how they deal with Dion Lewis coming out the backfield and receiving the ball. Because, yeah, you could stop him as far as running the ball goes, but he showed last 2 weeks that he could be a factor as far as catching the ball at the backfield. You got to worry about the little playmaker in James White. All right? And this Patriots defense gives up a bunch of yards, but they don't give up too many points. And I'm not making a case as to why they're better than the Eagles or anything like that, because they're not. Simply, they're not. All right? But there's a whole lot more in this game that goes into it than just Tom Brady versus Nick Foles. All right, I'm pretty interested to see what's going to happen with Nick Foles after this. I know we did a show with the first segment talking about it. I think it was on Monday, I believe. Yeah, it was Monday's show, I think. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, but do not write off the Eagles just yet. All right? Don't do that. Expect a good game, because that's what we're going to get. It's going to be interesting to see. I'm curious, man. Are the Eagles going to be able to get their first Super Bowl in franchise history? Or are the Patriots going to continue the dominance? I mean, the Patriots will probably be back here next year for all I know. The Jaguars could maybe challenge them again. Steelers, they pick up better players on defense. That's a possibility. Let's see. I don't think anyone else really could challenge the Patriots next season unless some team drafts really well. Maybe the Broncos. That's a sleeper team next year, the Broncos. All right? Don't sleep on them too much. You get Kirk Cousins, that's a team that's going to be a playoff team right there. All right, but that's pretty much all I got to say on the Super Bowl. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Last show on Monday, or did we talk about Nick Foles last week? I can't remember exactly, but yeah, we talked about Nick Foles last Tuesday, I think, or something like that. I can't remember exactly. But I wanted to talk a little bit about UCF. It's done and over with now, but I saw one of the Alabama players, Damian Harris, quote tweeting UCF players tweet about them being national champs and said, Oh, but where's you guys' trophy at? I loved it. That was great right there saying that. UCF, you're not champions. You're not national champions. Alabama is the national champion. All right? That's cool. You guys went undefeated. But you guys didn't play in the national title game. All right? This isn't a participation trophy. All right? Don't be patting yourselves on the back. You won the Sugar Bowl. That's what you are. You're the Sugar Bowl champion. I think it was that's the bowl they played in, right? Let me see if I can pick it up before I end this show. Sugar Bowl. Let's see. Champions. Yeah, I think. I don't know. I can't find it out. All right, but I'm pretty sure that's what Alabama, or no, what bowl did UCF and Auburn play in? Either way, whatever bowl that was, that's what you're champion of. Oh, it was the Peach Bowl. All right, yeah, so it was the Peach Bowl. Excuse me, I was wrong. But nonetheless, fine. UCF, you're Peach Bowl champions. You're not national title champions. All right, you wouldn't stand a chance against this Alabama team. I talk to people, oh, UCF has heart, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Alabama's got Nick Saban and pretty much every great player in the country. So, UCF, quit calling yourself national champions because you're not. Get over it. All right? So that's all I got to say about that. We're going to wrap up the show there. Today we talked about Alex Smith going to the Redskins, talked about the Chiefs, what's next for them, talked about the Titans hiring their new offensive coordinator, talked about the Denver Broncos, the Cleveland Browns, and New York Jets, and we talked about how you shouldn't be counting out the Eagles just yet if you are. All right? So that's going to wrap it up for today's GSMC football podcast. And if you noticed, we didn't do the show yesterday, and we did it today on Wednesday. That's how it's going to be going forward. We're going to start doing the show Monday, Wednesday, Friday, just to keep flowing throughout the week a little bit more instead of Monday, Tuesday, and then 2 days past, then Friday show, all right? So we'll be back on Friday. We'll be talking about the Super Bowl. Like I said, Tate might be on that show, so it'll be a fun one if he is. Nonetheless, we'll be making my picks for that game. So thanks for listening to the GSMC Football Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Jesse Tapia. Stay tuned till Friday, and we'll talk to you later.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.